Allahu 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 Allah Allahu 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 Allah.
When you enter the classroom or from your children at home or whatever, isn't it I'm bored? Very often we hear children say, oh, I'm so bored, why do I have to do this, why do I have to do that? In fact, there's a joke which just now I read. It says a child wrote to the Board of Education, B-O-A-R-D, Board of Education, saying that even I am bored of education. I am B-O-R-E-D, Board of Education. So anyway, that's just a joke, but the whole point is that in today's society, today's world, children need a lot more than what they get in schools, right? So you hear comments like, I can't wait for the exams to get over, I can't be done with the exams, I want to get rid of my books as soon as I'm done with the exams. And that's solely because one very important fact is that in John Hattie, he's a great educationist, and he's done a lot of studies about children and learning, and he says that in his book, he says that children actually don't like to think. Thinking is not, a normal or a natural phenomenon, and it's really hard for us to take. But the way schools make children think is very hard on children. So they always stay away from thinking. They don't like to do the thinking, right? So it becomes even harder and more stressful for teachers to make children do a lot of thinking. But having said that, in fact, now with the way the 21st century is going, the demands are increasing, we have to make children ready for a world which we don't know what it's going to look like. Use technology which we've never seen before, right? Train them for jobs which we don't even know will exist later. So the demands on teaching and learning is just increasing day by day. And then you have this attitude of children who say we don't want to learn. Now, doesn't mean that that's the end of it. There are a lot of approaches which biologists, psychologists have found out which help children learn. Out of those approaches to learning, one of them, it is like, they are like building blocks. There's inquiry-based learning, there is homeschool learning, there is formative assessments where the teacher constantly is in touch with the child and watching the child move from one position, one learning to another. Then there is, I said, group-based learning, that is cooperative learning. And 1/6 method of very important that we have started using at Oasis is called service learning. The service learning is basically a project or a problem-based approach. Children like to live in the real world. They like to see real things happen, right? So I'll just give you a brief about what community engagement, one of the pedagogies, community engagement pedagogies, often called as service learning, are the ones that combine learning goals and community service in ways that can enhance both student growth and common good. In the words of the National Serving Learning Clearinghouse, it is a teaching and learning strategy that integrates meaningful community service with instruction and reflection to enrich the learning experience, teach civic responsibility, and strengthen communities. And this is so awesome. We being Muslim schools, our goals and visions is to serve society, to serve God through the service of His creation. And there is this opportunity called service learning. So at Oasis, we always like to see parents involved. We've tried to do a lot of activities, trying to get parents constructively involved. I'm sure if you ask all teachers, they'll say parents are better off only on parent-teacher meeting days. They don't want to see parents all the time. But we've tried hard to do a lot of things with parents. Let them come for extracurricular activities. Then we had coffee mornings. But somewhere or the other, it really didn't work. Maybe because in coffee mornings, parents would be talking more about their own children. What is this school doing? What is this teacher doing? All the gossip, and then again it would fizzle out. Finally, when in the last maybe 2 years back, we had another meeting in which we had parent leaders of each section of the school. And we asked them, what do you want to do for the school? want to build a brand. We want Oasis to be a brand. Something we want to do which will help build that. And then we struck upon this, that we will combine service learning, which the school has been wanting to do, with parents doing it. And that's when we hit upon a plan where each section of the school will be doing a project, a service learning project with the class teacher and with the children, all designed by themselves. And we thought, okay, let's see how it goes. In the first year, I thought maybe we'll get maybe 4 projects or 5 projects out of the 25 classrooms that we have. But alhamdulillah, we had 15 good projects happening, people going out into the community and helping. Next year, it was again, we said, let's see, maybe now the enthusiasm will go. But alhamdulillah, it clicked again, and again we had another 15 projects. And it just looks like something that we've really tapped. And what we've tapped is that we've sold our belief to them. I didn't have to sit hard, 24/7 watching what each project is happening. We just left it to each parent, and they themselves carried out with the school support and with the, whatever requirements that they needed, we provided them. So I have with me here. Before we can see, should we see the video first? We'll show you what we did, and then I will introduce you to a student of ours who has done the project and what she has learned from it, and a parent and a couple of parents and what they have gained from it. Just to prove to you that this was a complete holistic exercise in learning. Besides the service that we achieved, the real benefit was the learning. Okay, so we'll just quickly see this video where you get to see all the projects that we did. These are all the projects that was grade 9 did. You can't get the sound? Pardon?
There's no audio in the video.
There's no audio. In the video, there's no audio. It's definitely there. Okay, you can just stop it. We'll give you another version. It's okay.
I am here to give you all a brief account of the eye-opening street vendor campaign that my class had taken up for our SLP project. We call this project Light the Night campaign. The name came to be as we distributed solar lanterns to street vendors who spend their nights in darkness. We took up the initiative last year in around the month of March. It all started with the first SLP session when my mother, the parent leader for last year, had come to our class. She spoke to us about how important empathy is.
For you and for me, the antagonists, there are people dying. If you care enough for the living, make a better place for you and for me. Yeah. If you were to know why, there's a love that can't last. is true. It only cares for joyful giving. If we try, we shall see. In this bliss we cannot feel. We are dread. We stop existing and start living. Then it feels that always love's in our pulse growing. So make a better world. Make a better world. Heal the world. Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire
Hospital which we visited.
people that
This is the no plastic. Okay, let Abita just quickly tell you how they lighted the streets.
Yeah, so she spoke to us about how important empathy is in our lives. We were divided into groups and told to talk about who in our community we thought needed our help the most. Each of us presented a few anecdotes and observations to back our suggestions. The most popular options included helper staff, watchmen, garbage collectors, and yes, street vendors. It was heart-wrenching to see them walk for kilometers together under a scorching sun, sometimes even with their children huddled up under their cars. We understood that even if we can't transform their lives completely, we should at least try to improve it for them. We put ourselves in their shoes, and so as to truly realize their problems, we unleashed the actress in us when we performed role plays depicting the life of the humble Indian street vendor, calling out to people to buy their goods. We also spoke to classes from grade 4 onwards about our project. Our next step was the actual field work. We needed to know firsthand the issues that all street vendors faced in common, so we could come up with a solution to fix them. One Saturday morning, my classmates, along with a few parents and teachers, set out from our school campus to find the local street vendors. We had a questionnaire prepared beforehand, so the interviews would go on smoothly. We asked them general questions, their hopes and aspirations, problems, family life, etc. Some of the vendors were hesitant, but we assured them that this was for a good cause. We got a whole lot of information. We promised our interviewees that their answers and complaints would not go unanswered, so we were determined to keep that promise. Over the next few days, my classmates brainstormed on ideas to solve their problems. Various issues sprang up. For instance, most of them faced throat aches and backaches as they yelled out all day and pushed their heavy carts on the bumpy roads. However, one glaring and common difficulty was their situation at night. They either wanted safety for their carts at night or wanted to continue their sales even after sunset. Some complained that they felt insecure going back home in the dark. We settled on buying them lamps to keep their night bright and lit. With some research, we encountered an ideal solution, the D-Light solar lanterns. These could be charged easily on their cars just with exposure to sunlight, and by night they served as an excellent lamp. These lanterns were rugged and not very expensive. They had a good shelf life and it was easy to operate without much explanation. We then got started on our fundraising campaign. We went class to class and asked them to contribute. We approached even teachers and parents. We used social network platforms such as WhatsApp and campaign emails to spread the word, and soon enough generous funds were pouring in. To our great surprise, we got a call from a Times of India reporter too, who was very eager to talk to us about our innovative project. Within a period of about 10 days, we collected enough money to purchase around 30 lanterns. We concluded our project by gathering and handing out the lanterns to every vendor that we interviewed. They were delightfully surprised and gratefully accepted our gifts. Besides it benefiting the street vendors, our internal values were also reinforced. We got bold and confident when it came to supporting our cause, and our persuasion skills reached a record high. We learned to handle money carefully and be generous with our charity. Qualities such as empathy, humility, and healthy teamwork became part of our character. How can we have time to feel envy and jealousy when there are people right under our noses who need our help and ideas? We realized that we shouldn't be ignorant to the plights of people around us, and we should be grateful for everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. Not to mention, we did get an article about an initiative published in the newspaper as an additional bonus. This project is just one of the many other inspirational ideas that have taken flight under our parent leaders and teachers. And to this day, each of my classmates are hit with a surge of pride every time we drive down the Coxtown roads and see rows of solar lanterns brightly lit in the night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ambar. So projects that we undertook in the last 2 years, they covered environment, education, health, special needs, poverty, school improvements, thereby encompassing direct, indirect advocacy strategies. And the students were from grade K2 to up to grade 10. They have raised funds through tuck shops and newspaper drives for hospitals, blind schools, old age homes, orphanages, government schools, village health camps, and students and parents have shared books and resources, played games and shed tears, talked and listened, eaten and sung together with the underprivileged and the needy. The outcomes, learning, personal, social and institutional, that the parents and students have achieved as participants are amazing and worth sharing and replicating. It's been only 2 years now and the community impact has been substantial by the grace of Almighty. There's another project that really came in the papers too, where our parents got together with grade 4A and they renovated the toilets of a government school. So we'll just quickly share with you that one.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to share a hadith here. Aisha radiallahu anha once was asked to describe the Prophet ﷺ, and her reply was that he was a walking Quran, meaning that his behavior was the Quran translated in action. He applied the book of Allah to real life situations. This is what we should desire for ourselves and our children. To make the book of Allah and the Sunnah as a natural part of our daily life. Alhamdulillah, so one thing that I see in a lot of, I don't see Muslims as part of the community, taking part in, taking part doing things. Helping the poor, even as so.
It has been an experience where teachers and children and parents have shed tears for a lot of people. And we let Sarva tell us about her project.
Alhamdulillah, as last year's project we started SVK as a instructor was a woman who pulled us out as a parent to start such kind of work. Alhamdulillah, it went very good last year. We took the school as the government school, Urdu primary school from Modi Road, DJRD. The school was nearly with the 300 students, 6 teachers with no helpers, where they study Urdu as their language. And and there is no English or any other language there. When I visited the school for the first time, I saw students suffering with the health problems because of the garbage over there. And students had no stationery, no books, no study materials, nothing was there for them to study. And there were no proper desks, no classrooms, and we felt very bad when we saw such kind of school near us. There were no clothes to wear, there were no shoes to wear. On that, we saw the washrooms which were not to use. So we started for the third standard student. They were very young to understand such kind of things, so we took them to visit the school and shared some they shared stationery items, snacks, and enjoyed the activities. They made the friendship with them and came back to the school. But we saw one boy there who was terribly he was damaged his hand with the crackers, and we paid some contribution to come up with the plastic surgery done for that student. Poverty is like punishment for a crime you didn't commit, and empathy is about finding echoes of another person within yourself. This is the brainstorm on last year project. When our children were in 3A, we had a friendship activity there. We shared the snacks and gifts for those children. And this year, it was amazing project. Last year, we shared all those things, and Alhamdulillah, our children learned how to use those things. We as the parents decided to clear the garbage, renovate the washrooms in our next project because it was affecting the children's health there. By the grace of Allah, we group of moms planned to clear the garbage and renovate the washrooms. We started to collect rupees 500 from each mom, but where three of my sisters came up with a good fund, and Alhamdulillah, it was a work for 20 days, but it was done good. This was a planned program for the children that we introduced ourselves for those children. This was a renovation done. It took 20 days of period to complete this, to change the image of the school. It's better to lend a hand than point a finger. This was the situation before we moms teach our children self-help is the best help towards the poverty. This was the situation after renovation. We paired our children with those children to make a group. We made a group and we made them to learn how they struggle in which they live how they live their life in each day, and they bonded with their friends. They colored the wall. They wrote, "Please don't put the garbage here." Children wrote a letter to the corporator requesting to take care of the school area every day. The student gave a complaint to the police requesting to stop evil person who is spoiling school area. Children wrote a letter to the Westcom department requesting them to shift the transformer far from the school area which had been damaged and which is dangerous for the children. Children requested the neighbors not to put the garbage there. By this, our children learned how to write the letters. Students donated their computers. Donated a computer. They shared the old things with their friends, and they requested them to learn from that. They were happy to see the good environment in their school, and they were feeling very thankful for that. This is the payback time for our children. Alhamdulillah, all were feeling that they are famous by doing this kind of job. Thank you.
Considering the scope of the program, in terms of, we did a lot of work, but that's not the end of it. In terms of the learning and service learning. If you look up service learning in Google, it's a very, very done thing in the US schools there. And of course, their focus is on learning more than service. But we being faith schools, service is as important, if not more important, than learning to us. But there is much to be done. There is a lot more community involvement that needs to be roped in, formal structuring of projects on the part of the facilitator required, and reflecting on the part of the learner that needs to be nurtured. We plan to do that now, look at the learning more. The program is yet young and needs to mature for a more holistic impact. However, considering the overwhelming enthusiasm it has generated among the staff and students, the learning and behavior modification that it is bringing about, and the sincere and proactive support it is drawing from the parents, it definitely looks poised to be a flagship program for Oasis and many other schools. Jazakallah.
MashaAllah, I moved on the Takbir, Allahu Akbar. And to the student there was overcome with emotions, one can understand why it happened. Alhamdulillah. So what I request now is, I'm really moved. Any questions? What learning do you have from this? Alhamdulillah. I feel it's exemplary, inspiring and motivating, isn't it? Any questions on the subject, on the work they have done? Anyone wants to come in? Yeah.
Challenges that were in front of you all when you all started the first and till the time you're actually achieved.
Actually, as I told you, it wasn't a very completely structured. We were always, for 2 years, very awed by the way the things were going. When we started, we just said, let's see how it goes, let's see how it goes. So it wasn't like, first we'll do this. Yes, we did have templates for the parents, we supported them. Every time they would come with a program, we kind of advised them as to how to take it forward and things like that. But we were not very sure that, we will reach out here or there. There was a lot of flexibility. The parents could come up with any project which is close to them and which they feel their own children will like to be in. So that was, I think, one of the most amazing part of the program, that it allowed parents to choose and even time.
Now, I've got 3 questions to ask regarding this service based activity. One is it integrated with the curriculum? First one. Second is there an assessment on it? And third is, what is the incentives that the students and the parents or whoever are doing? What is the incentive that they? Incentives not in terms of monetary, but in terms of giving them some scores or grades. Is there anything laid on? I mean, for it to be more to improve more further and to be more practical in the next.
Mike, you ask so that maybe you can share this in your interactions with other schools. Yes. And answer that question. 3 questions rather. To Mike, please.
The first question that you asked was if it was integrated with the curriculum. No, not yet. But inshallah, that's what I said. There is a lot of scope, and next year we plan to include it within the get the teachers also to participate and make it a more school activity. Second question is whether there was an assessment. Once again, we really did. And the third incentive was nothing really. The parents just enjoyed, and the satisfaction of service was there. But definitely as a school, we give the parents like a star parent award when we have prize distribution. So the parents who participate and do the projects, they are the star parents of the school.
Yeah.
Actually, we have done all the activities which she has mentioned.
MashaAllah.
It's part of the curriculum. And the assessment is like usually we compare from one franchise to another franchise. And third thing is regarding the appreciation. The parents get the token of appreciation in the form of certificate as the most actually involved parent, the most actually one child like this. So all these activities are being appreciated.
And are almost all Islamic schools out here engaging in such kind of activities at this level and this scale? We're doing it. Okay, mashallah.